Yeah, straight live.
I clicked the button and it just added a load of things. There was no way I was clicking the thing on time.
It's all right. Good morning, guys. Either way, hopefully those of you that were in the stream yesterday caught that short. If you didn't catch the SFP, before we left, we went over what we'd be looking to do to get in a short. Max was literally saying, I'm going to go try to get in a short. What are we waiting for? The gold pocket, which we got on the retest. So we're going to take a look at that, take a look at the order flow, take a look at the macro on this and say, when do we change our idea that we're not going to hit these targets that are above still, above price action, and we'll go from there. So appreciate you guys all being here, though. I did want to say that me and Max are both super appreciative because we noticed that you guys are very active in the chat before the show even started.
It's always good to see.
Sorry, I was just muting the stream so I can interact with you guys there. But yeah, no, very good to see. We love to see it. So thank you guys, especially coming into 14 likes and over 10 of you waiting. So that was really nice. So let's jump into the charts and rock and roll. So first things first, I want to point something out. We are looking at the SPX right out the gate. Main reason being is you had a gap down. There's your previous day low at 4,089. What did you come back to? We came all the way back to the 12M1 at 4,049.89, the key level we were kind of working off of previously, saying that if we reach this level, it has to be support. Okay, we have the quarter one low up here as well. But now we're back at that yearly average from the prior session, proving to get a nice bounce. If someone took this, you also had an SFP right here on the low. So if you're a traditional market trader, this was a nice setup. Okay, this was a nice long, and now you'd be looking to fill this gap probably into the previous day low. And that's where I'd be looking to probably de-risk if it was an intraday day trade, or at least lock something in now, depending on where the VWAP is, which looks like it's probably coming in pretty close. That's underneath. Yeah, you can see you're getting a little bit of resistance at the gap entry now. So probably a good take profit one, but I'd still be looking for the previous day low on any further upside from that. So that's all I'm going to do on the SPX because there's not much else to cover. We've gone over this in detail, why we don't want to be losing this level of support. It's just something that we've barely reclaimed. And in order to make this upside move, it does need to start claiming this region of the chart, the X and B leg pivots, backed up by the yearly pivot there. So simple. Over to the chart that matters, right? So we talked about setting an alert for 25,222 yesterday because you'll get an interaction with it, and we need to be able to gauge that interaction. Max was right on top of it while I was blabbing on about QNT. He was able to identify that a swing fail was likely to happen. And even before that, he had mentioned something. He said the fuckery, right? And what he meant by that was the high open interest, that he knew that we were going to get both a big wick to the upside and downside. The question was, did you get a big wick down or a big wick up first? Obviously, we took the highs, classic swing fail pattern, and down we go. Okay, so your previous day high would have been a good trigger if you weren't just watching the order flow. Now, if you missed this position, that's the thing. If you missed this position, you have to almost go to the 1 minute for this because it happens so quick, right? If you miss this position from up here, and this is actually a comment on one of my video or my Twitter. He was asking, how do we, because I put on Twitter that I'd taken a short out of the gold pocket. Because I missed the move up. So you had this move down, right? You can see there's your low. And all you're doing is taking this and just extending it to the right. And this would have been your back test of the gold pocket where you'd have been looking for those shorts. So you can see you've come up, stop loss goes above this high, or you could go wide here. You just have to adjust your position size because the risk is much greater. Even though it's still not that far away, it's still about a percentage point, which isn't terrible, right? So retest of the gold pocket, stopping out any of these guys that put their stop loss above this high right here, leaving the overall high though, and down it goes. And it came right back into where? Well, the previous week high is where we're at right now. So we got to a weekly chart, and we're going to spend some time on the high time frames as well because it does matter. We got to the weekly chart. You'll notice that this is your previous week high right here. And I believe I have a level for that in here. Right here, you can see it's marked $23,459. Go down to the 1 hour, and you can see that's exactly where we've come down to, and it is being defended. So a bounce out of this region is to be expected. Another way to view this is going to be through your volume ranges. So we all know how we like ranges and we like volume profile. So we like to stay organized, right? So there is your monthly value area high. Okay. Now, where are you rejecting from is the question. Well, again, everything comes down to time frame and perspective. And what you'll notice is that you are coming up into resistance at the quarterly value area high. So the developing year, the developing quarterly, developing 6 months, whatever you want to label it. But it's about an extra couple weeks worth of price action, 4 weeks, so to speak, than the developing monthly here. So you would be taking into consideration this price action and looking at this and saying, okay, we really need to start living above this area again. And you can see right here that it was support and resistance. For me, though, if we're looking at things just in general, the overall gold pocket here is lining up with the key level from yesterday, right? So straight away, you guys know my bias. We're looking for weekly closures above 24/7. This area on the chart is of a lot of interest to me, especially if reached for a back test. Would love to get the opportunity to trade that region of the chart. I did take this short earlier. I have locked in profit 1 as we came into the VWAP. I'll let Max cover that. But you had a really nice, easy trade right here. And mainly this was your daily pivots area. If you guys track those, which if you're in the group, you definitely do. You can see you've come back into what the prior session averages, and now you've come back to the current session VWAP average. And this is a big take profit for me, but that's a really nice move and a nice trade. Did not catch the absolute high. I believe my entry was 25,181, so not bad either. And we move on. So if we can get this test into this region, I'm very interested in taking a look at what's going on and seeing if I can't catch a trade out of it. If there's no reaction and we just go through the level, I'm anticipating to take this new high and probably push higher. That would be my preference. So as of right now, I remain neutral. We've come into the previous week high support. I will say, and I think Max agrees, if we zoom out a little bit, you'll notice the point of control of your monthly is all the way down here at 21.7, which if we come down to that monthly point of control, I anticipate just taking this low and going to the monthly pivot at that time. You know, we could pull that up real quick right here. Okay. I would anticipate taking this low into 21.2, and that lines up nicely with your quarterly value area low. Miguel says, send link to group, please. There should be one in the description of the video, Miguel. You can see a Discord link, or you can go to leadingcrypto.io, and that'll get you in as well. So very, very simple way to look at it, guys. Need to be hanging on to this region of the chart. The end-all, be-all spot for me, though, is going to be the September high, $22,810.50. You guys know how much I like that level, and our levels remain constant throughout this entire range because they've just been so good. And it's a common theme. I'm not going to lie. We're pretty good at identifying where the pivot points in the market are going to be at. And it's funny how TA lines up with it again and again and again. And this would be kind of my line in the sand. If I get this opportunity at 22,810.50, maybe a hair above it, that's where I'm interested again, and maybe putting on a little bit of risk for a potential long. And the reason being is, well, if the reaction is clean, unless we cut right through this level, if the reaction is clean, I think you've got a good spot to potentially put a stop loss, and the R to R is very good at that time, right? So that's how I would be viewing it. You know, I don't know that Max has anything different, but really short and sweet today on the Bitcoin analysis. The high that we identified yesterday, we said it can push through this high. However, you need to have it marked because we have to see the reaction, and the reaction was a very tradable reaction. So I don't preset. And I kind of regret not presetting now because we were live when it happened and I was talking about QNT. I think Max, you know, I don't think he ever presets, to be honest with you. So it's one of those things where I doubt he shares that sentiment. But I'm all done. Believe it or not, I am all done because it's just
say the level you want it to bounce from, mate. It's that September high. Say the level.
22,810.50. You know it.
There we go. I think we're on 3 weeks on the trot now. Let's go.
Yeah, it's been on there for a little while. So I'll turn it over to you, though, if you're
I'm ready.
Rock.
Let me get my screen up. Okay. So I'm going to go over yesterday's swing failure pattern so I can go through it properly without me panicking to get into a trade. So let's do that first of all. Magic doing all the behind the scenes little camera movements. So cute. So obviously we have the level here. I don't know where it was. Jump over here. 25211. We'll just pop this here. We all know which level it is. Try and get it right. Close enough. Okay, so when you're having a swing failure pattern, you want to see two things, okay? Or you want to see one of two things: trapped traders or positions changing hands. They're the two things that you want to see because they move the market effectively. If you've got positions changing hands, that means a bigger trader's there, and you want to see him then move the market. If you're getting trapped traders, and you can then look to their liquidity effectively being taken. And as you took the high, you're getting these buys here right at the top of the move. And it's funny because of yesterday, you were getting the shorts enter, and it was right into the daily open. Shout out to Twin. He said in the group very early on in the morning, daily open is going to be key. You were having tons of shorts enter straight into support, and it really does baffle the mind. And then you come up to such a key area. This is so key. Like, I don't know how many of you guys were in the group, like in November, but the quarter three regions have just been so important. Like, we traded the quarter three open so many times. Like, it's insane how active that single quarter was, throughout obviously quarter four. So knowing how important those whole levels were, when you come up to this region and you see dumb money, this is dumb money. You don't want to be this guy or the guys buying at the day open, but you don't want to be the people that are buying into support, selling into support, buying into resistance. And as we get the swing failure pan, I was on the 5 minute at the time, but it's really easy to look at on the lower term timeframes. I'm on the 2 minute here, so I was saying 5 minute, but the 5 minute made this hole a big block. And I was saying at the time while I was scrambling to get my words out, you want to put the longs underwater, but when you go to the 2 minute, it was just so much cleaner, and you could have gotten entry so much earlier than the 5 minute even allowed. That's why when you're looking for entries, it really does pay to go down the time frames. And you can see here, this is where you had all the buying coming in right at the top as you took the high, and that is a finished auction at the top there. So there was no selling going on there. They just ran out of buyers. Then you get this move up again, complete delta switch up. You've now got shorts piling in, and then as soon as you get below where them buyers, that dumb money entered, you just get the huge sell off, and it was just so quick. And it was strictly on trap traders. There's traders that are entering in this region, and you just think like, the fuck are you doing with your money? Like, why come and throw it about like that? But anyway, then you had the move down. It was very quick, and then you had multiple chances to get into the golden pocket. It was actually a very giving move, to be honest. It was really not hard to. I'm just changing to the 5 minute now because it's a little bit cleaner than the 2 minute. It was a very giving move. The whole, if you missed it because of how fast it was, you were just given 3 separate times to enter that trade. So it really was given to you on a play. And every single time that you hit, here you've got a huge volume spike, positions changing hands arguably. The next one here was really weak volume, which is again another sign of a weak rise. And the final one here, you've got low volume compared to that initial attempt back here. But also, if you're looking at PVAs, you had PVA candles into the region, which were the only ones here coming from the golden pocket. And you've also got a very clean delta switch up. You've got positive delta. You've actually got weak delta going into the region. It's negative delta going up to it, positive delta, and then it just flips negative again as you get the rejection with selling imbalances coming off the move. You've given many attempts to get into that trade. And it's the gold pocket. It's like the first thing that we all learn in trading. So, well, hopefully. It was very, very, very sweet move. And then obviously you got the move down here, and the way that you could have caught it, obviously you've got many levels there. I think it's the previous week high off the top of my head, and you've got EMAs there that are, I like to trade off. And you got another delta switch up. You can see delta was heavily negative, stalled a little bit towards the low, and then came out really positive with buyers then, pushing you up higher over here. Really really easy moves, to be honest with you. And then the gold pocket, which was down here for the day. Let me just put it on a 5 minute so you guys know what I'm on about. Zoom in. Bish, bash, bosh. There we are. This initial gold pocket was it was rather simple trade. You just had, loads of shorts enter underneath the golden pocket, underneath the VWAP, apologies. So you've got shorts entering above, a considerable amount, shorts entering below as you go near to it, and then on the third attempt down, you got more shorts entering. You then got buying imbalances at the top. So, if you were late, I was late to this move. I actually bought up here, which we say you shouldn't buy to the VWAP, but there's trap traders, and you knew as soon as you were going to get above the VWAP, chances are you're going to go and aim for those traders' stop losses. So Bitcoin constantly seeks liquidity. So if you're looking at trap traders and you know where they are, you can look for where the logical stop loss would be, which was this high. So you can put a TP up here, taken out, came back down, tested your nerve, but it was a very quick move. So, and really it shows you a lack of not liquidity, but it shows you that a huge stop loss was hit, and effectively you had a finished auction here. I don't know why I've got the black block here, but these zeros here effectively shows you that as soon as a buyer came in, it jumped price straight back up, and these are $10 blocks. So that was a considerable amount for a minimal amount of buying power to take you back up, and that's a finished auction, which and that's a big one. So when you see something like that, it can give you confidence in your trade to hold it, because it effectively shows you that it's the sellers are running out of liquidity, in which case you then get the move up which we've had. And then right now, the one thing that I really want to mention is how high open interest is. So when Magic said it, at the start, I said in the group there's going to be some fuckery. It was strictly looking at how high open interest is. So if we look at it right now compared to how it was yesterday, I think it was back here in the group when and it was around here when we said it's going to be some fuckery because of how high open interest is. And the reason that is the case is open interest is a contract between two traders. It's a long and a short, and that equals open interest effectively. So when that's the case and you've got high open interest, there's a lot of liquidity in the market, there's a lot of traders in the market, and you can expect fast moves to take out both sides of the market. And open interest is rather high. So, you're going to get moves like this, but when moves like this aren't taking traders out, which they are not, traders are actually still coming into the positions, you can expect more. Can it take some time? Yeah, sure. But, you've got to be expecting of some quick moves coming, with the fact the open interest is as high as it is. But yeah, right now, you had a ton of buyers coming in. So I've got something in my throat. Had a ton of buyers coming in. You got this huge move up, and then you see a somewhat delta switch up, more shorts enter. It really is quite mad, the open interest right now that you've got. But you come right down, tap the view up, tap the local golden pocket. So the golden pocket, I believe it's not this one. Oh, it is. You don't quite tap it, but front run it. But I imagine if you pulled it from here, no point imagining. Let's have a look. It's a bit higher actually. So yeah, it's this one. So you've come front run it, but you got another delta switch up. You can see delta then weakens at the low. You then got buying coming in with many buying imbalances to take you away. And then at this point, you're not buying into the VWAP. So it's a safer bet here. And when you trap these traders, you have to think where their stop losses are. You're going to take this high in the next few minutes. It's coming. But the question is, how high can that liquidity take you? Because there's many traders in here, and there's many shorts that have entered in this position and here. Really, it has a very good chance to come up and tap that golden pocket, which Magic was mentioning earlier. I haven't checked if we've got any single prints. I believe we have. We've already closed them. So that wick that we had just a minute ago pretty much closed out the single print that was left yesterday on the move down. So, my bad for not checking that, but it's already been done now anyway. But yeah, right now expecting some volatility, so be prepared for it. But yeah, expecting a bit higher in the next in the next little move that we get.
Are there any single prints to the downside still? I don't remember. I think there are, aren't there?
Yes, we've pretty much closed the main one, but we've still got some way to really close it. But yeah, we're well into it now, so I'd imagine that'll be closed out pretty soon.
Bueno.
Hang on, let me just read this chat. I've seen Sheik giving me some shit.
She likes your accent.
I appreciate it.
All right. Well, if there are no questions about any of the order flow or stuff we've covered on Bitcoin, I did say I was going to cover some alts today just to kind of make sure that we're putting some altcoin content out there because I know a lot of you guys trade these. So if I'm covering this coin, it's probably because I have a staked interest in it in the sense that I'm trading it as well, or I have a position. So that is what we'll take a peek at. Definitely not trading Solana. It's just up on my chart. But
Literally just said, these are ones I'm trading. I'm not trading them.
I get this one requested quite a bit. And one thing I'm doing is I'm watching on my phone. And the reason I am is I wanted to see which view you guys prefer. Do you prefer the view where we're on the side here to see the chart? Or do you prefer it like so where we're down below? I think for charting, this is probably the preferred viewpoint. But when it came to order flow, a lot of times our face will cover the footprint bar statistics. Sorry, that's a mouthful. And so that's why I move Max over, is so that you guys can still read those numbers while he's talking about them. But if you guys prefer this view, we can work with it because I think you get a little more screen with this. So makes things a little bit bigger. And I know that everybody's probably watching on their phone. So nothing wrong with that. But I'm going to cover Solana, even though I'm not trading it. And the reason is I covered it last Friday. So this is something we'll cover again on Friday. We had this, what I called interim support pit stop, if you will. This level holds. Where were we looking for? We said $24 was the target. And you can see that we came up to $24.20 into this local gold pocket and local high. Also the POC here back down to what? The 6-in-1 at 22.11. So this was going to be the trade. Now you've had a nice short back into support. Really need to start seeing this live above $22 if you're going to see any kind of a push further. Otherwise, a retest of these lows could be in place. And that should coincide with the rest of the market. You know, if Bitcoin's breaking down, then everything else would be too. So let's jump over to Ethereum though, because I know that's, if it's in the title, I want to make sure that I cover it. Ethereum USD, we talked a lot about Ethereum yesterday. And what have we been saying? We have to get back above 1785. All these targets that we're talking about to the upside are still very relevant. They just aren't actionable yet until we break this resistance, which it did come up a little bit short on it, but this has been your monthly resistance. So we need to make sure that we're keeping a high time frame idea on this chart. And one thing you don't want to be doing is coming back down below these monthly highs right here. You can see monthly high 1, 2, and 3. So you want to close above 1664 at a minimum. You don't want to be closing below that level. If you do, we're going to start targeting some of these supports, maybe closer back to that previous all-time high at 1400, right? So that is how you're going to be reading this chart. And you just want to make sure that if you get above this, or you start closing above it on, like, let's say a weekly standpoint, or specifically a monthly standpoint would be great. Like if we could close February above this level and turn it to support, we can start making that leg up. So for me, 1664 is going to be the key area to be kind of working off of. And you can see, like, when we go down to the hourly, this was your support, right? So support, 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 resistance, resistance, now trying to turn it into support. So really fighting with this level at the moment. And it's a key market structure area to be involved in. It is, again, a monthly high locally that has been battling price more relative in the last quarter or so. So if you wanted to go to the quarterly, you probably could mark the quarterly high on that one, and it would be just as relevant, which you can see is right here at 1675, right? So now if we go down to the daily, what's it look like? And it looks even cleaner. So that prior quarter high is actually getting things, I would say, even better than the 1664 support. Really want to see this level at this point. I know 1664 is important for us to hold, but 1677 gets claimed, and I think you can make that push to make a new high potentially and try to get up to this July high. That's how I would be reading it. Again, if we can't do that, we have to look to our local areas for support. And doing that, you're going to use the volume profile, or you're going to use, pivots. You can use whatever you'd like. But for me, the 6-in-1 comes in at 1409, along with that merge value area low at 1418, plus your prior all-time high. That's just going to be a really important region. And you can see why it was so important previously. Let's go through to January 1st. Take a look at what we've got. Yeah, and you can see that your value area comes down here. You have this like local daily demand. You can see that you've swung failed these lows into these lows right here. So you could then extend this to the right and say that should we lose this point of control at that like $1,600 level, or the daily low. I would say just the current daily low is lost. I would start looking down to the bottom of the range. I would think that we're going to come back down to like 1524, but ideally into this box just beneath the value area low, which would be ideal, which is 1488 to 1505. That will be the next area that I'm interested in. Should we break down, I'm just going to go ahead and put an alert below the daily low. And the reason I am is that's going to give me a heads up that that move could be underway unless it's another SFP here. But if it makes this move down, I'm looking for these lows. Otherwise, I see 1677, I see 1785. I'm only trading the levels that I'm interested in, taking a reaction at. And as of right now, you could potentially be looking for a short here, because if this gets a rejection, you're looking to take it back down to the daily low likely, and then seeing if after that take profit, you're seeing if you can take it back down to these lows right here and either catch a bid or close a short. You know what I mean? So two ways to trade this. It's all up to you. I don't day trade Ethereum personally. I know CVO does, and a few of the guys in the group do. The altcoin chat is actually very active with Ethereum charts. So if you're into Ethereum, that'd be the spot to be at. I don't day trade it. I just buy it on large swings and hold it. QNT is one that I have been swing trading. Did buy the value area low on this. Let's get rid of these harmonics. We talked about this yesterday. We mentioned that we got to get above 145, right? Have to be above 145. You can see that's exactly where we ran into yesterday. So if you're looking at this from a level-to-level standpoint, quarter one, value area low, point of control, also major high time frame horizontal resistance. You can see that you've also come into your regression low. Okay, so our regression and back to where the median line of the regression. So very, very clean trading. You had an actionable trade to take here, and we're still watching this one. If there's a retest into this region, the area that I'm most interested in is right here at that gold pocket. It sits just inside the yearly pivot and the quarter four pivot from 2022. And that to me is going to be the area that I want to be looking at if I'm looking for a potential taking of the low and a move, right? So that's it. If we lose the 2023 open, which is well and far away at 105, things do look a little different. I would imagine we're going to take this low that we made back here on November 14th, and we may even travel back down into this $60 range, which is a long, long way away. It would not be pretty. The rest of the market would look accordingly. I imagine Bitcoin would have lost 22,810, and we'd be moving down to probably the $20,000 zone, maybe even backfill that gap. So S&P can't always watch live, but learning a lot. Thanks for the great TA. Thanks for being here, man. You're a big supporter and always super positive, and I really appreciate that. But yeah, so 145. If you crack 145, I am looking to take this high potentially. This is the level that you want to start seeing monthly candles close above, right? This is a 3-month chart, but you really want to see a monthly candle at least start to close above this, because you think we're 2 months into the year, right? You can see what happened. We did close above it. What did we do when we came back to it? No support, right? So if we look at this area here, you'd say, okay, this was a fake out. It was straight into resistance as well. You can see how big of a resistance that was. So when you came back and you lost 145, what were you targeting? You're probably targeting these lows right here. So as soon as you lost 145 and gave up that major support, right? So you can see resistance. I wouldn't call that support. Resistance, 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 break above, nukes through. Where are you going? Market structure alone told you where you were going. You're going to this region of the chart, which was also your 6-month key average of price. So a high time frame horizontal pivot is there. So this would have been the area that you should be looking for a long in that scenario, right? Now you've gotten that long. Now you're looking to take it back up if you can to about 166. And if it breaks through that, then yeah, I'm looking for like 178, 193, etc. But we can't talk about that until this 145 level is claimed, right? So until then, on QNT, I'm still trading the range. I am still looking at this one pretty opportunistically. And I did get some bids in on this one here. All of it's in spot because I think Bybit only offers margin, which means, like your whole portfolio as collateral. Not into that. I don't think they offer ISO on this. And if they have updated that, I need to check. But in reality, with altcoins, you don't need to be trading with a lot of leverage or any at all in my preference. Look at this. That is 16% over the course of 3 days. That's a great return on an intra-week trade to do very passively in a spot position. So how do you get into this trade, right? That's a very good question. A lot of you guys are probably like, yeah, it's great in hindsight, but how can you actually get into it? Well, you didn't have to buy the exact low here, guys. So what I will show you is you can see that you have this key low right here. You've come down, and let's make this more vivid. You've swung fail your prior local low into support and then closed above. But let's say you missed that move because it was a quick move. Even better, you got the exact same setup over here. You've made a low. You've now swung fail that low, and you're coming back to what? Try to retest it right here. So now you've got this as support, and you know that you're looking to buy anywhere in this region, essentially. This is now there, and your stop loss is below the low, okay? And from there, you can take it up. And even if you did not get a perfect entry and you bought right here, but you put your stop loss appropriately below this swing fail, right? It's a big stop loss, but you're still getting over a 2-to-1 on the trade. And so you can still work out the risk, 1, 2, 3% of your capital, whatever it may be. And remember, it's a trade, not meant to be something that you're like, all right, this is a hodl position to all-time highs. Where's my next target? Point of control comes in at an already identified key level. I should be locking in some profits here. And if it continues higher, I've still got some to run. I've got my stop loss at entry, whatever it may be, and you move on, right? There's going to be an infinite opportunities in this market, and that's how you should treat it. So very, very simple, very easy. Just make sure you're planning accordingly and treating your capital for what, treating your capital with respect, I guess is how we'll put it. So don't be like all in on these things, and make sure you're protecting yourself. You're not doing yourself any favors if you're all or nothing all the time. It's just not a good way to trade, and it's not a good way to learn if you are learning. It's a really quick way to get absolutely crushed, actually. What else was on there? MATIC is on there. MATIC's a big one. MATIC is a little bit more resilient than others. But I will say this, you can't be looking for longs on MATIC here, obviously. I've had this on my chart since October. We had 2 potential fund folder, right here. We had this right here. Nice AB equals CD into the 6M2 at 129. Okay. Also prior swing fail right here at like 133. And it was the 382 of your macro fib pool plus a 1-to-1, right? So you had Fibonacci convergence here, which you'll see is the 1-to-1 here coming into it. I think we need to be in log for this. No, we don't. We don't need to be in log for this. And you can see your 382. So you should be knowing that this whole region right here is resistance. Okay. So this is resistance. You're getting out of that trade, knowing you're coming into horizontal resistance, knowing that you're coming into Fibonacci convergence. You have a harmonic setup. Take your profits. Where did it come back to? Well, if we look at the B leg or the C leg, excuse me, you take this as like a whole and say, this is now my support because this is where we based off of. This is now going to be the area you need to see it bounce from. And that gave us this right here, the 0.5 to 0.5. Now you're looking for an 886 with a 1618 to 2618 confluence, which you perfectly have. You're pressed into the 818 right now. Shout out to Scorch, because Scorch is all about the 818. I don't necessarily use it, but when I'm looking at this, I kind of do because it did let you kind of get out of this position. We're going to get rid of the April NPOC, and this is not a guaranteed short, guys. However, in this setup, right, what are we looking to do? Well, we've done one thing. We've done multiple things, but this is the one thing I want to point out. Okay, so you have X to A. What's important here is the move to B and then the move to C. And the reason it is you've established a range here. Right? Now we have this. And so the resolution of this range gives us clear targets. We have clear expansion rates now on fibs because we have this tight range. And it is a tight range. So in that regard, if we short into this region, if we get a short, let's put it that way, if there is a short to be had, there doesn't have to be. Nothing says this has to play out. We can only look at this and say, should I be buying here? Or should I be looking potentially for an opposing viewpoint? Me personally, I'm only going to short this if there's a clear setup on like a swing fail on the daily or something like that, or a loss of market structure. But you'd be looking at it, your stop loss has to go above X, which is the local high, and then you're targeting the B leg. Okay, so then you're targeting this. Risk to reward on this is roughly 3-to-1, 2.86-to-1 right out the gate. Okay, but you have to be ready to be stopped out because there are no guarantees in trading. Just to give you guys that extra, like, you have to be prepared to be stopped out. So you have to work out what your risk is going to be, because you can't just roll dirty with an 11% stop loss on a full boat position. It's not a good idea. So you should be trading with smaller amounts of your capital. And if it hits the B leg, we then target the 618 if it's given, right? And that would be something like this. The 618 is all the way down here. We're at range low. Shocker, right? Anything below that, I'd like 50 cents. But I'm not buying any more MATIC up here. I've been waiting to buy. I did buy most of my MATIC down here below the July NPOC, was accumulating between 30 and 40 cents. Those were public levels given in 2021 of the next area I'm going to buy. It was called the Daily Demand 2 Zone. I think I finally deleted the box because, nope, it's right there. This was my buy zone. Identified right here from 2021, which it front ran and then came back to, which a lot of altcoins did that. They front ran their target. So for me, still watching this one up to about $1.58, give or take. And then I want to see the reaction. The only thing to note is that you do have a local high here. Makes it an easy trade. So if you were just to mark this local high on the daily, what you're looking to see is a move above it and then a rejection on a back test. So swing failure pattern of that local high. That would validate this for me. However, if it pushes on through and there's no trade, we don't take the trade, or we have a stop loss to protect ourselves so that we're not losing our ass the opposite direction, because these can be trades that, while they look great on paper and it's a really nice pattern and it looks very clean, doesn't have to mean it's going to play out, right? Even perfect patterns can fail. So you have to remember that, and you have to be willing to put on the risk, but at the same time, manage that risk accordingly. Otherwise, you're just gambling, and gamblers usually get their lunch money taken. That's all I'll really say about that. We did talk about QNT, MATIC, ETH. Is there anything else I wanted to look at? I haven't looked at Atom in a while because I haven't had any alerts go off. This was my alert in my box for Atom, and it front ran me. So I'm still sitting on my hands on MATIC, or not MATIC, Atom. I have a position that I started acquiring right around 10 bucks because I missed this low. I was trying to do what? Trying to be perfect in trading. And we know perfection rarely does not exist. It does happen occasionally, but we have to be, ready to be actionable if that is not hit. So this actually tapped the buy box by like a penny. I sat and I said, well, I'm still waiting lower, specifically down here into the 7 and some change region. Just never came. Have to be ready to change gears, get in right here on the break of structure. So you can see how we broke above this right here. Yeah, right here. I guess what would be there we go. Old daily lows turned into support. This is where you start buying, and off you go. You have acceptance into this, and now you're looking up to where? B leg first, 1058 to 1130, and then you're looking to take it up. Okay. Quarter one was also here giving you the heads up that, hey, your quarterly average comes in at 1120. So even if you got in at $10, you're looking for that $1.20 move up. It's a nice 12% move. No one's upset about 12%, at least last I checked. And then you've come up to where the top of the pattern, C, and the daily here. So if this pattern's playing out over time, and it is to get follow through from these initial targets, because it's hit target 1 and target 2, I would expect to see the challenge into 1645. But ultimately, I want to see the 1-to-1 up at around $20, which is your yearly pivot. And it is the 6-month pivot as well. Both of these are untapped. They are basically statistical targets at that point, saying, okay, we generally backfill these averages on a pretty high rate. So what's my cue to get into that? Well, breaking above this high is going to give me the sense that we're either going to swing fail into this trend-based gold pocket, or I'm looking for this here. If I'm looking for re-entry on this asset, I'm being patient. I'm willing to gauge the reaction out of this zone at around, I think, what is this, like $12 and $12.50, $12.14 to $12.44. However, I'm much more interested still down here. And you can see why, if you just drag this across the screen, this is going to be anything below this level has been very good buys. And I'd be willing to buy into this local gold pocket at the quarter one pivot and into structural support. Now, if that gives, I'm looking for 3M. I'm looking to take D and then come all the way down to 750. So you have to be ready again to calculate your risk, manage it accordingly, and understand that these are trades. If you're an investor, you're just looking to DCA into these positions and you want to use my targets, that's fine too. Just understand that this is at your own risk. You know what I mean? Like you have to be ready to deal with any consequences that come, and you should still have a plan for your DCA. And I think most people that DCA probably do have a plan. XRP, H bar. Love to see H bar, at least SFP its highs, but like others needs Bitcoin's help. Yeah, everything needs Bitcoin's help. But as we've said, we're looking for Bitcoin to, well, it did take the high here. So Max did nail that. He talked about taking the high. New China pivot comes in just above it. Always front runs these pivots, man. But I would like to see if this can come into these levels here. Like the prior day open is here at 24,347. Then you've got the previous day equilibrium, previous day val, gold pocket, and a naked point of control at the weekly swing fail pattern. So this whole region is kind of resistance. So you have to be ready to kind of pull the trigger if you get a good entry. However, for me, I'm looking at this saying, okay, I want to see if we can push into this gold pocket, into this weekly swing fail, and what kind of reaction we're going to get if we're going to get a secondary short. We do know, and we've said this, and look at this. This is now giving it up, the DXY coming back down to what support. It pushed above its yearly pivot, front ran me at 104,775, and is now coming back to support. So again, we have talked about this. If you lose this zone right here, this box, I would expect us to come down, probably take this low, and maybe even challenge back into the range lows, because oftentimes when you deviate the range to the highs or the lows, like so, you then rotate it in full. So I would just, I'd have that in the back of your mind. You could set an alert right here below the low, just in case you're not watching it regularly. That way, if you can't be at your computer all day, like we have the, I guess, the luxury of doing, set alerts. TradingView will send them right to your phone if you want, and you can go from there. And that'll give you a pretty good idea. Let's see what the SPX is doing. Absolutely shitting the bed, leaving the gap. So if, like I said, if you were a trader and you took this on the 1 hour basis, you have to be looking to close into this gap and then only taking a second take profit here on a day trade. And as of right now, you'd probably be stomped out on this unless you bought the exact low, which we both know isn't always the case, right? So for me, I'm trying to be patient with altcoins. You guys know how I am. If I don't get these entries, I just don't trade them. So I'm still waiting for alerts on these. I've been talking about these levels for a few weeks now. I will look at XRP because I see it in the chat. I know what you guys are doing. We have H bar first though. So this is the zone we marked out at some point on a live stream for H bar, and look at that. That's beauty. So this was my target for H bar. And it worked out really, really good. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let's see what our updated range looks like. Look at that. The gold pocket lines up just below the developing quarterly range. So I'm very happy with that. You're actually flirting with the prior high right here of this being set in August from the summer, kind of like a lot of the assets because Bitcoin ran to there. So we've hit target. This would be a take profit for me. And now I'm looking to reload potentially, but I'm only looking to do so at areas that make sense. And for me on H bar, I'm not like one of those people that buys altcoins at just every possible support. So there are going to be times I miss the dip, but for me, I look for deep value. And I think that coming into these range lows, again, down here, right around like 6 cents, down to as low as 4.5 cents. If someone was in a DCA mode, that would be a good place to start looking. However, if you lose 4.5 cents, I will tell you this, you have to be prepared to see 3.18, excuse me, and potentially even a penny. I know that Tar Heel's been talking about 1.5 cents on H bar since, oh man, for like a full year now. And if that target gets met, the rest of the market's probably absolutely in the dumpster as well. And that's not good for anyone that's buying this. Let's put it that way. They're going to be very upset with themselves. So you should never be buying into resistance like this. This is a huge move. Be patient. But yeah, this is just a daily high. I'm pretty sure I mapped this out with the point of control, the range, and the this local daily level. Never mind. Yeah. So you definitely are at resistance, but you are trying to hold on to prior support, or established support, I should say, because this is old resistance right here, which is also, if we just scooch this over, you can see that that's where this was just sitting on before coming down, back test. Now you're above it again. However, not really doing much with it. So need to see this hold on to probably, 8 cents, give or take 8 cents. You could probably mark this daily high right here if you really wanted to be precise with it, 8.09 cents. You start losing this level, and I would say things are probably going to start coming down in a fairly quick fashion. Otherwise, you do have to flip this box up here, which is at 9.69 to 9, or 9.36 to 9.69 cents. Very clean, very good. XRP, that'll be the last one I cover, as we've been going for a little bit now, 44 minutes. Still waiting on XRP. We've talked about 37.5 cents being a key level. You can see we came down here on the daily, recovered it cleanly at the value area low of our range, right? This is our developing range. So it means for current price action of this year. So we've got a clean setup here. You've deviated. You took these lows right here. You can see this is a very clean swing fail. Boom, 36.8. So you know you've already got the swing fail. You reclaim 37.5, as I believe that was a high time frame, like monthly. Now you're looking to do what? Take it back up. You have front ran the point of control probably for the gold pocket. No, you haven't even done that. This is actually kind of a weaker bounce than the rest of them, which is a little surprising. Let's see, what's the VWAP on this look like? There you go. Anchored VWAP from the high is what's holding you up. Always important to kind of have. I like to pull the range VWAP as well, but in this case, from the current high of our local range, that is what you're getting. That's what you're getting a rejection on. So just locally, for the current year high, you're rejecting off of the volume weighted average price. If you took a trade down in this region, it's one of those things where always recommended to lock in some profits. But yeah, that's where you're hanging on to. However, the point of control still resides above you at the 40-cent mark, which is going to be key. For me, nothing changes on XRP unless the high time frames change, because it had such a clean reversal pattern, and it was a very good one, you know. And I do think that this is an area you have to be hanging on to, right? And you can see we have a bigger market structure range here, deviations of it, and back into the high and resistance right here, back to the point of control of the range in that 37.5 area that we were talking about, which I think this was the, yeah, we looked at it like this. There was a local swing fail here, which it was support initially. You got a little bit of a bounce, deviation of it, new swing fail happens, which happens all the time in trading, and then back up you go. So perfection isn't always a thing like we've talked about, but on the weekly time frame, you just have a really nice pattern on this. That's why I like it so much. Let's see if I can find it. There you go. This is your reversal pattern. This is a really nice extra large bat pattern, and you are getting a back test of the support. So you really want to see this D leg and this low holding. If you don't hold that low, you're heading down lower, probably heading to like 21 cents, 17 cents, somewhere in that region. And then you can reevaluate from there. But again, these are things that when we talk about them, you know, the whole market's going to be down. You're going to have lots of clues in the meantime for what's going on, right? So that is how you would be going after that. But for me, I have been longing XRP at support. As you guys know, 29 cents has always been a target. And you've got an old yearly pivot that comes in this region, I believe, as well, up to like 33 cents. So for me, that's been support. And let's zoom out just a little bit and look at the monthlies and quarterlies real quick. Yeah, you can see this is your old monthly lows right here. So this is going to be the support that you have to be hanging on to, right? This is your monthly demand. So should price return to this region of the chart, you want to see a clean interaction. You want to see this getting bids, because if you lose the 2023 open in these monthly lows here, I don't think 29 cents is a bounce zone again, unless you get like a real clean swing fail. But I think you probably take this local low at 28.63 cents, and you're likely coming all the way down to like 20, like I said, 21 and some change. I think this is coming in right here, right around, where's my open? 21.97, maybe even lower over time to like 17, because I think there is a yearly that's untapped down here, which I don't know if we can see on this chart. There is 19.25 cents. So this is worth having on your chart right here. And here, basically. Box it up, guys. We'll box it up. We all know how we like our boxes. Right here. This will be your next demand zone if you start breaking below this blue box. And that's just my opinion. It doesn't have to play out that way. However, it definitely can. And you could always do this if you're a little bit more reserved. You could just say 31.06 cents. You lose that, for sure, you're going down here. But again, these are high time frame levels that take high time frame reactions, meaning we have to see very, very we have to see a lot of price action to go into it before we can make a decision sometimes, unless you're watching things like the order flow or you just have a really good grasp of where the general market is going. That's all I've got. So, all these assets have come back to minor support, except for excluding HBAR. If HBAR flips that 9-cent region, it's probably going to like 13 cents. And the rest of them are, you've been given those targets and we know what we're looking for, right? And we know what we're looking for on Bitcoin as well. We're getting that push up now, making another new high. So we'll see what we get out of this. Max, you got anything to add, or am I just going to keep talking to myself over here about poo coins?
Just keep talking about XRP, mate, whenever you want to.
I'm just going to say some thank yous in the chat. And I don't really have much else to add on to it. I know that you're probably itching to watch the order flow as we come into these regions and get a trade in. So if you're in the group, we'll see you in the group. Otherwise, guys, the link is in the description of the video, leadingcrypto.io as well. And we'll catch you guys in the next one.